portal play will make up for anything other than the chain CC.
Let's talk about a couple of the players in this match from both sides. For Tempo Storm, we're looking at Psalm, and I think we have Dansky. Yeah, Dansky versus Psalm. Psalm's been making plays, man. He's got more takedowns. He does have more deaths, but in general, he will play some more unforgiving heroes we've seen from Psalm, like some Zeratools too, so there's a little bit of difference from that. The lesser deaths, so does give an edge for Dansky in the KDA department.
The kill participation for me stands out the most. The fact that Psalm is that much higher, more importantly, Psalm is just that high in general, that's a very impressive kill participation to sit at that threshold and just showing that he is a bit of the core. Maybe, you know, when Tempo Storm looks at their best, Psalm's usually the guy making the plays, right? And so it's not surprising to see that number at 97, 96. Like, my goodness, I feel like probably seen a handful of players that can break the 95% threshold alone just throughout all of competitive heroes in the history of it.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of Phase 1 for 3-ish weeks in a row, Iacona had 100% kill participation, but finally did, I think, fall at some point, either had a death where then everyone else was getting kills or something happened for him. He was maybe off side-soaking with the Rhaegar, as we saw Kier doing in the last game. But let's get into Game 3. We're going to Sky Temple, undoubtedly chosen by Team Freedom. It's all about the second pick meta these days, Dread.
The second pick meta is the OP meta, apparently. It's so funny, the fact that that has shifted from the first pick selection to the second pick so much here this weekend. How much of that is, in fact, a meta shift versus a, again, indication of trying to hide strategies? Not quite sure. But I do feel like we've talked about this conversation a lot. You know, what is the better pick selection? And I do have been constantly waiting for when North America starts venturing less rigid in its map selection. Less, you know, first pick is always the way to go to. And we're almost there. We're almost at the point where it seems like it's more I'm adapting to my opponent than I am adapting to what I like to do.
Well, what Freedom likes to do lately on Sky Temple is double support with a Vala and an Illidan. And then win with it,
And then win with it, yeah.
Tempo has shown a couple of different things, but most recently getting Genji, Dahaka, and Malthael. So that death ball type of composition, bring the team fight to their opponents.
In the world of Zod, Sky Temple is probably one of the worst maps for him, one of the less effective, even though skirmishing is at the forefront of the map because structurally there's not too much to be constantly attaching to, and there's very rarely moments where you actually siege up, right, directly on Sky Temple. It causes him to not have that aspect. But if you're really good with the chains, it's good enough to take the risk in post 7, which hits before the secondary shrine phase. Maybe you can make the justification. You just have to be a bit passive around the first shrine phase.
Malthael and ETC bans.
So what do we see as the first pick? Is it the Genji here for Tempo Storm? Do they go a different direction? Is it high support? Do we get ourselves this bold first pick Rhaegar as we did in the last game? It's going to stick to the Tassadar. Have the opportunity to pick up a Tracer, probably second best map for a TAS Tracer, other than Battlefield, and that's solely off the stackability of her heroic, so very fast on those Immortals.
May see a Team Freedom double support with Brightwing later on, if that's the case then. But at this point, what's most important for them to grab? Do they want their Vala and then a support to go along with that? Are they going to get Genji here?
I hope we see them go more offensive, a bit more Genji focus. I don't think they have to go the Genji avenue, but much like double support when it was the core of the meta, I will always say this, it's a little bit less than it was before, but it's focused on macro. Yes, it's good at team fighting, but its team fight does have weaknesses, and I do feel like on a map like Sky, they can be played around, and you don't get to rely on the structural advantage and the map pressure enough. So I hope that they avoid that route, especially a team as good at team fighting on a map as good as Team Freedom is on Sky Temple. They go in the same avenue, though. They're going to go the Ariel and the Vala.
Well, if it is a TAS Tracer, this is the time. This is the rotation in the draft to get it.
Into an Ariel, you can force pulse bombs a little bit or not pulse bombs, Aegis from your pulse bomb a lot more frequently. And that is, without a doubt, like just if you throw out a pulse bomb and you get an Aegis, you can say that is a big win in most team fights, especially with that Tassadar in your comp. So I kind of like the idea of going that, but we can, again, generally assume that there might be a double support. And do you really want to put all your eggs into the Tracer basket? She is more on the sustain DPS role compared to all the Tassadar enablers. The only other one that I can see meeting that would be the Illidan, but into an Ariel who can go into blinds. It doesn't seem like that would be this high into the draft for Tempo.
Before I would have said Dahaka for Tempo Storm, but since they already have Tassadar, it doesn't seem like that. Oh, they will still. Rhaegar and Dahaka. So their whole support system set up will be a double warrior, double support. All eggs in a something basket. It's just, what is that basket?
Yeah, what is that basket? Because Illidan isn't it. So much so that I would be, if I'm Team Freedom right now, I probably would let the Illidan go through, unless I'm really afraid of the global specifically, a double global itself. But if that's the case, maybe, I guess False Ed doesn't work into Tempo's comp because they have the Tassadar. They'd be a bit damage light. So the False Ed ban wouldn't be worth it either. It's just that they don't need to be concerned because Dahaka is not enough of a solo warrior on the front line, nor provide enough double threat to be, again, difficult to deal with, and they've got that Ariel. So I assume it's Tracer, and then it goes, is the Tracer worth the ban? And again, that's up to Team Freedom. I feel like probably just because I would say in this position, I'm Team Freedom. I would go, I'm the better team. I'm just going to ban out the things that I think my opponent, you know, the cookie cutter compositions that are scary, that anybody is a professional player and knows how to run. Instead of a noob, the wild Anubarak appears.
For double support, the Cocoon on one, kill the other one, take apart the combination of the full 5-man team fight that double support provides. Tempo Storm, though, takes out Illidan, so Tempo not even willing at, if they wanted to have Illidan with enabled with Tassadar, probably wouldn't be able to get it. Team Freedom do like Illidan with their double support Vala combo. So what's up?
I need you to hear me out.
Yep.
Sonya.
Yep.
Arthas, last pick Brightwing for Freedom. The Tracer gets picked up.
Yep.
You've got the double supporting. You've got the leap all-in counter into the Tracer.
Okay.
You've got the Brightwing to be able to support you up. You've got the double supporting mobility. It all works out. And Arthas slowing everybody down to enable you.
Love it.
That's what I
don't know why you were
close. We're near. It's going to be a Brightwing last pick to be able to deal with it. But
yeah.
Why not the Arthas? I wanted the Arthas for the left-right play. Tempo's going to play into that too. The high JoJo, or Team Freedom, has been playing a lot of JoJo recently, even on a map where it's not going to gain too much value. No ETC to interrupt. They're just
blinds.
Yeah, you're right. They just want to blind. Good call.
Double blinds for Team Freedom. Is that enough to change what Tempo Storm has gone into so far with the task Rhaegar, Dahaka? Are they too far gone to get anything else? Is there anything truly wild
I think they're
here?
too far gone to go anywhere else, but I don't think they want to pick any of those things either.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like you can change your game plan. This is Sky Temple, so you should probably commit to the hyper carry and just go, boys, we goofed a bit, and it's going to be difficult here. Because we also have to remember that last pick, if this is a 5-man death ball by Tempo, it could just be a Cassia.
Or
you can pick Cassia and just go in. So now, even more offense is what I expect from Freedom. They still could go into Brightwing, but I don't expect to because there was no Tracer. Now you get even more offensive, but because you have the JoJo's a kind of kitty wampus there. She's not going to want to go in with Sonya. So it's got to be a warrior who can go in the mobility. Now the Arthas, way less appealing, but I feel like maybe where they're going to go.
Wait, you're saying this is going to be triple warrior?
I think that could be the thought process. I guess not into a Zod. There's too many melees.
Yeah.
Good call. I'm thinking here. Thinking wrong.
And Garrosh. And the Dahaka.
But you need to be offensive. And offense usually comes through, unless it's like a Tyrael. That's the only warrior that can go. But you need to initiate onto Kel'Thuzad. We need somebody to dive in.
You got that Owa.
You think that's enough to be able to deal with it?
If not, what about the Owa Falling Sword?
Owa Falling Sword would be enough. That's a really good point. But is Tass Rhaegar enough peel? And also keep in mind, Rhaegar is the hardest to hit with that combo because he has the opportunity to spec in mobility at 1.
Genji was still up, but it's going to be Uther sticking to their guns.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my pen.
If there was a
got it back.
If there was a Tracer for Tempo, again, I think that would have been the Brightwing. But now going out of it, it makes sense to go into Uther. Also keep in mind that Guardian of the Ancient King is legitimately one of the best tools to have against Kel'Thuzad. Sadly enough, you know, the bonus spike of Kel'Thuzad being a 75, original Uther would have been able to just be like, nope, you're just going to be back to normal. But sadly, this new version, it's only going to be 50% bonus damage, still enough to pretty much, honestly, get somebody down low enough to be a winning trade still. Uther is a Band-Aid to Kel'Thuzad. He is surely not an answer. Somebody, I don't know who, because there isn't really no healer in the game that can deal with Kel'Thuzad if he is hitting chains left and right. He has his burst output on the cooldowns. As below 15 seconds, no support in the game. Now the cleanse has been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and now it's almost non-existent. There's no support so you can deal with that level of consistent crowd control with immediate burst follow-up on that short of cooldown. I mean, he's essentially Tyrande. Right, like, and I don't mean that in terms of the limits, but like when you look at when he hits those things and how you should be considering how do I support against him, you should be looking almost Tyrande level of supporting, and just nobody's got that answer right now. Well,
man, Ariel had a really tough time in the last game. Maybe just trying to get up into position for a detainment strike, but there's nothing really that's going to keep someone alive if they get tossed in and then pulled back again and again and again. And they've learned that now. So hopefully we see some maybe less aggressive positioning from the backliners and more spaced out. But there's a lot of choke points where maybe Kel'Thuzad can get some value. Let's get into the game and see if Kel'Thuzad can get another victory for Tempo Storm against Team Freedom.
I think there's another interesting kind of angle to talk about when it comes to Kel'Thuzad and team fighting and maybe ways to play against it. When we're looking at Illidan compositions, right, and the distance to safety and the chase, and we oftentimes know if Team Freedom was sieging into Tempo, right, and they had the Illidan, you're already going on the escape route. Team Freedom has got to be careful. They're going to lose members, and as they're walking away and getting dismounted, they have a question they have to answer. Can we just all in right now and actually win this fight, or we all continue to run and we know we're going to lose 1 to 2 to 3? I think Kel'Thuzad plays close-ish to that same playstyle because of how big of a range. If one person is there, 2 of you are there. Within a stitch's distance. So you cannot go, you can't immediately when you're on the retreat, you have to ask yourself, how many am I willing to lose? And if we turn around, is it worth the fight? And I actually think more so than Illidan, it's worth turning more often than running away from the Kel'Thuzad, because he will essentially, if he hits skill shots, lock it down, unless I'm missing a very cool juke tactic that we're yet to see come to light here in Heroes of the Storm.
Well, Team Freedom has another opportunity to figure out the composition of Tempo Storm. They have a lot of the same things. This time they have the Vala instead of Cawthonla. Cawthon's going to be more on the Tassadar, which will give some more AoE damage. It does give some additional slows after Kel'Thuzad, so maybe that even forces Team Freedom to be even more aggressive along the same lines. But Team Freedom are building into as much sustainability if they can. They've got War Paint for Sonya. That'll give her some self-sustain. Regen Master for Johanna here.
And notice how this game, we see Kel'Thuzad's kind of sticking around through mid. That is the worst case for Psalm, right? He needs to get to a lane where there's 2 people, which is why immediately you see him transfer up towards top. He needs to have as many people to be able to hit with those chains for that blight, and then they disengage. And this is exactly what Freedom should be doing. Just minimize the laning situation of Kel'Thuzad, because he is I mean, he needs these people on the opposite side, much like, I don't know, Chromie can respond to those split-pushing 3-man wave compositions, and you just dance with the Chromie, matching them always. You should do the exact opposite with the Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, how I put it when I'm playing Kel'Thuzad is I just sing a little song.
What is the song, Gilly?
I want to be where the people are. You have to be stacking. You have to be building up with the chains. That's going to get 1, but it's far slower than we saw on Tomb. Team Freedom already making those necessary adaptations. But Freedom still being willing to get back out and deny some of the shots in the mid. Top is being held momentarily for Tempo Storm. Iron Skin's been used.
Well, only 1 there as well. That could have been 3 stacks. So again, Psalm far less successful so far, but he's still got a lot of time to be able to recover. It's just, I feel like we really do need to convey, especially with the youth of the hero, that these are key elements towards his success. And if we don't see Psalm overly successful like he was in the last game, maybe we won't see those 1-shot, 1-kill like he so dominantly performed over like left and right the entire time of last game.
And this is largely on Zughrug, and Zughrug figuring out, because he is always the first person who's chained. So it's about positioning from Zughrug to the rest of the team. It's about when he uses his Iron Skin. This is going to change some things, because that's a perfect placement of the Frost Nova. Chains follow up, but Collusion not getting hit by the follow-up chains. Can he get out of here? The stock comes in from Dahaka, makes me think no, and Johanna goes down.
Very well done, and yeah, as you said, Psalm laid his Frost Nova, predicting the Volt, and she bolted right into the center of it. Brilliant chain max range there from him. And these are the things that, wow, Fury, they're over the wall, found Dansky. Chains are coming off cooldown in a few seconds. That's going to be a few easy stacks. Even though they don't get the kill, Tempo Storm, they are still very much bringing it here to Freedom. Freedom down to level 2 kills on Sky Temple. Hello, that is not something you say very often. Tempo is on fire.
Yes.
Or ice, I guess, is Kel'Thuzad.
A little bit of both. Column A, column B. both are here. Team Freedom, this is, I don't think we mentioned it this series, but we usually do when Team Freedom picks Sky. This is their battleground choice. This is, they like Towers of Doom, they like Infernal Shrines, but Sky Temple is the most dominant place for Team Freedom.
It's the equivalent of Gale Force Esports Braxis holdout.
Exactly.
If you're a Gale Force fan, that would be the best way to understand the level that Freedom takes us to Sky Temple. Nasmus able to dodge that chain max range. Good use of the Glacial Spike there from Psalm. And that is when you're playing Kel'Thuzad as well, when looking at the Kel'Thuzad, he has a huge power spike at level 7 with that Glacial Spike, suddenly doubling essentially the range of his lethal, or his chain lethality. He has the opportunity to make plays on his own as well, where we've been talking all day about you need 2 people. Yes, it does increase the blight stacks, but at least this way you can make plays without needing to be around those structures. And essentially, I would argue, almost enough to be the only reason Kel'Thuzad is viable on a map like Sky Temple, because he can make those plays out on his own like this. If he doesn't have that talent, he just essentially is going, well, if nobody's willing to trade 2 people into me, I just cannot stack.
Well, this is the most scared position I would be for Team Freedom, is this next Temple phase. They are somewhat behind, about a level, and there is a lot, because of how you enter and exit this temple, it's pretty scary for the type of combo that Tempo Storm has been running with their Garrosh, Dahaka, and the Kel'Thuzad. Speaking of Dahaka, he's still up in the top trying to siege down that fort that took damage from the first temple phase. There's a limited amount of time for Team Freedom to try to get into this fight. Kira, the one tossed back into the team, but he is happy to just start whirlwinding away. Johanna, though, gets pulled back in, and Kira's going to run out.
He's going to be just fine. Tempo Storm is rounding those 10s, but without consuming these shots in those turrets, they feel like they're just comfortable with the lead that they've managed to obtain. And they're going to walk away.
So we're sitting at 14 blight stacks. It is slower than last game, but last game was also a smaller battleground where there were a lot more rotations. Team Freedom was still figuring things out, and it got into an irreparable situation really fast. This time Team Freedom has made the necessary adjustments to figure out how to deal with this Kel'Thuzad. But they're going to have to deal with heroic abilities here for Tempo Storm until they can get their own conclusions up in the top. Cawthon and Cattle still trying to bring that fort down.
This is still pretty fast, though. Even though it is slower than the last game, I don't think... I mean, we're yet to build a standard, right, that we can be assuming for power levels at the professional level. But if I was to project where I do think that would lie, I feel like he's still on track right now. Psalm at the 15 at this point in time has got to be good. Like, as long as you get it with your heroic to get the CDR, then you can just rely on team fightings and use that CDR to make sure those last 15 come in easy. Because team fight phase, it's pretty easy to find yourself getting just 5 to 6 blight stacks at a time.
Tempo Storm has been keeping an eye on the boss now that 10 is here for Team Freedom, and with Nasmus going back into the Hungering Arrow build with Monster Hunter, we already saw how fast they can take out a boss on Cursed Hollow. With the one boss here, it's a little bit easier for Tempo Storm to keep track of where Team Freedom are, at least in relation to that boss.
Tempo looks like they're going to take this invade, and Tempo is going to love invading in tight chokeholds like this because of the Kel'Thuzad. They only scare off, realizing that Tass and friends are not close enough to skirmish it out here. Cure maybe getting choked out through mid, but a full flank Team Freedom. They're wanting this fight. Detainment Strike used, Condemn pulled in. Dimensional Shift will save Tassadar, but only Tassadar will be safe. Fury's out of here. Not enough armor here. And Team Freedom march to boss.
They're going straight to the boss without the Garrosh, without the primary frontliner. This is the best opportunity for Team Freedom. It presents a place where Psalm's not being able to stack up his blight. They're all just sitting here on the boss. They know that without Garrosh, Tempo Storm doesn't really want to even try to contend with them because of how fast Team Freedom got that kill. Still have a lot of cooldowns that weren't used there, namely their support ones. But Psalm at least get a couple of stacks thanks to Freedom getting their Giants along with that.
Team Freedom's in kind of an awkward situation, though, because when you have this huge advantage like this in the pressure out towards bottom, typically you want somebody capping on bottom and then denying shots up towards the top half of the map. But because they don't have any global to be able to make that happen, and if they neglect bottom, Tempo Storm gets the shots for free, they have to siege with this boss on bottom. So we'll see how much they can make happen here with this. Glacial Spike already dropped down. Flip onto Zugrug on the other side of the wall, but the boss might be able to rid of it. Nice Rain of Vengeance follow-up from that Condemn.
It's great route, though, knowing that Zugrug is going to try to go through. Zugrug does make it out.
Just keep
another couple of chains, 27 blight stacks, 27.
That's what I was talking about. The team fight phase hits, and immediately Tempo Storm is just getting stack and stack for the blight, forcing Divine Shield after the flip. Zugrug goes in.
He really wants a kill on Som. It's got to be frustrating playing against him, but the boss is down, the Giants are down too. This is a really scary spot for Team Freedom to be in right now.
Able to dodge, but nice chain combo. The root is there. Glacial Spike to freeze the members of Team Freedom, lock them in place. Uther's first to drop it after that pullback from Fury. I would be surprised if anybody on Freedom survives this.
No, Nasmus gets pulled into the Frost Nova, and there's the Shadow Fissure just narrowly. Nasmus avoids it. June getting tossed on top of Nasmus, gives the slow to take out Vala. 2 kills with the slow from Tassadar. He's trying to make it a third from Dansky.
So we have heard a lot about Kel'Thuzad. Some teams saying he is absolutely insane next level. I mean, I got to the level some people were just, he's busted. He is going to dominate. And then he didn't really show up. We asked him, people were like, maybe he's overhyped, but the only man to really prove them all wrong so far looks to be Psalm. Even here on Sky Temple, he has got the Blight. He has got his team ahead. They're winning in structures and experience. This might be the answer for Temple Storm to take out Freedom. It's the Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily the Battleground. We thought that he would be totally dominant on Tomb, yes, but Sky Temple spread out, not catching people in the 4-man rotations as much, not being able to build off your phylactery as well as you could, although we didn't even take it on Tomb the Spider Queen anyway, but Psalm and Tempo Storm playing along with Som, trusting in his combos, working together between Dahaka, between Garrosh pulls too. They just have so many ways of messing with Team Freedom, their positioning. And here goes another one.
Pure's fine though. Rather the Berserker use combo is going to be dropped on him. Forces the Aegis immediately there from Dansky. And I mean, look at that. It's a 60-second cooldown into a 15. Every time Psalm does that, his team is legitimately 45-second advantage over Team Freedom. Team Freedom sticking around. Here's going to be combo 1.
Triple taunt.
Big fissure immediately after Nasmus falls below 50%. And now Team Freedom's on the run. Cattle coming in with that brush.
That stock positioning was amazing. Team Freedom can't get out of this, so they'll give her one final turnaround. They've got the Ancestral Healing onto Caterpillar, so that is one more that's been used. There's the Chain, Shadow Fissure, Root, hits Zugrug and Collusion. They just can't get out of here.
That's what I'm saying, though, is Kel'Thuzad, he's so good at getting that chase down. You have to accept a moment where it's either we're turning or we're all running, we're cutting our losses. Freedom is doing a great job, but after that, Fury pulls in the Uther, Cure spinning to win. He's got those Ghost Seals out, too. Shadow Fissure not going to land there. Tempo rounds the 16 talents here. Shots on top will go over to them. And Team Freedom's got to find a way to cut their losses.
So Freedom is starting to do the, we're just going to turn and try to fight, but the problem with that is they've got Johanna, and then they have Sonya with Wrath the Berserker.
I see where you're coming from, but if that Aegis is not down, they can win that fight. They can turn on that fight.
Yeah, they can win the fight, but it's they turn and Tempo Storm just runs back. And then they're fine, and then they chain 2 people together. Once they find out where Nasmus is, they chain him back in, and then they turn back around again. At least it was only Uther that went down, but Team Freedom uses a lot of their abilities and they can't truly get the force, right? The hard force.
Yes, there is a way to be able to do that. And now that we see excuse me, my throat almost died for a second. Team Freedom, what you see Team Freedom doing, if they can adjust, I expect a actual just flank from Sonya or somebody get to flank to be able to force that fight effectively. And then when we see that turn, it has to be done on, more importantly, the same talents here, which now they are going to be. And with the Aegis, if they have all those cooldowns and they do get that turn, they will be successful. But if Tempo can bait any cooldown and Freedom is backing out and then questioning in the turn, I feel like the odds of success are significantly lower. But you do see them questioning, when do we in, when do we out? They're trying to adapt here to the KT.
Nerves of Steel will help a lot if Sonya wants to go for the flank where she's going to be potentially more alone away from the 2 supports, although Collusion can run in and try to make sure that he's assisting with the Divine Shield. And Ignore Pain is another big spike for Sonya. She's getting to be a lot more survivable, and Johanna will be big time too with 20 when she has Indestructible. Full
bait onto this boss. Tempo Storm, Noah, Glacial Spike drop. Kira is able to juke. Really well done. The immediate reaction from both Zugrug and Cure allows Tempo Storm to essentially, they went for the bait on a boss that they could have picked up, and now they don't get the boss or a kill. Very well done. Just clean reaction.
It is keeping Team Freedom around the boss area. They don't have the global to try to matching in the soaking, but they'll send some of their members down to the bottom. Still a little ways out for Tempo Storm to get 20 and have that advantage there, but having Dahaka is a nice advantage for them in trying to get to that point.
Team Freedom is now the one kind of trying to be the bullies. They're looking to pick those fights. even though they've been unsuccessful so far, I feel like this is them feeling like they, maybe with this rounding the 16, one thing to keep in mind, Sonya, we talked about her 20 spikes, but also 16 is a huge one for any form of defensiveness. And most of the time when you are playing the Sonya, you know, you get to 10 and you're like, okay, I feel good. Once you hit 16, you're like, I'm a pretty tough gal. And then once you get 20, I mean, she is the Dreadlord she was born to be. Can I be a Dreadlord? That's all I want to be.
You're always a Dreadlord.
Nailed it.
Freedom sees Tempo Storm starting this boss. Cattle knows that someone's here.
Comes out, shows himself. June was stunned, and they're willing to tank this even below the 50%. Wrath of the Berserkers drop. Tempo Storm is going to have a Hades on point. Have you seen a Shadow Fissure on this? They're going to go.
There it is. They haven't Shadow Fissured yet. Divine Shield's been used. Rain of Vengeance. This fight is taking place all over the place. Circles of Death, though, doing a number on Zugrig on that point.
But they have
Soda Freedom. Look at Kier. He's just 1v3 people now that he's 16. Takes down the Zod. Garrosh goes down. Boss stolen. Kier's still going in.
He is just having a heyday. Going ham. Tempo Storm, now they lost the boss and 3 people, and this is where Team Freedom will actually be able to turn this game, and more importantly, Gilly, I think they just won it.
They struck back hard against Tempo Storm after 2 games of enduring Kel'Thuzad and his malice. They are on top of the core of Tempo Storm. Boss behind them, bringing it down, falling quickly. Team Freedom will be able to go up 2-1 in the series.
I absolutely love watching the thought process and adjustment of Team Freedom from minute 1 here up until 15 to how do we stop the Zod, deal with this game, even though it was their map, the go-to for them for so long, and they were so dominant. We've never seen them fall behind, and they just kept their cool the entire time, waited for the one mistake, and they were like, this is it. Sonya post 16, just dive the back line. Loved it.
Yeah,
Every ounce of that game was just so fun to watch.
And it was cool to see the mystical spear pick up too. Like, even if the spear doesn't hit, which it's Cure probably is going to hit, but even in case it doesn't, he's still being able to get into the back line. Sam was like, no, no. I'm supposed to be fine back here, and you're chained and dealing with all of this nonsense on the boss point. This isn't fair. This isn't what I signed up for.
I mean, that's honestly the biggest reason everybody's been saying Kel'Thuzad's not going to be picked, right? Is that exact case where the Sonya is going to apply too much pressure on the back line. He's just a Kel'Thuzad. He can't survive on his own. Somebody's got to get that kind of peel, and if he can't move forward, he's not going to hit those chains, and the blight just doesn't matter when you're dead.
Well, I wonder now if this means we'll still continue to see a Kel'Thuzad, because it was Sky Temple still able to hit Blight pretty quickly for that, and up until that one fight, Tempo Storm were kind of running the show.
I do think that will most likely be it, but at the same time, I can see Tempo kind of going, we want to mix it up, because if they are hiding the strategies, again, it makes sense to kind of just beat the same comp to death, even with losing it here, but also maybe just them going like, all right, there was their first one, now that it's lost, we have in store a second one, right, and go in a different avenue, whether it be with the Kel'Thuzad still, hopefully. I hope so, because it's been pretty fun to watch.
That it has been. 2-1 for Team Freedom as they take out Tempo Storm on Sky Temple. We are going to a commercial break, but more HGC coming at you after that.
80 on